Value is the most sought for commodity and the everyday product we look for in any market. It is the differentiating factor between two similar products from different brands. Just like it is the differentiator of two individuals in the same line of operation. To understand this can be likened to having a sneak peek into gold bunkers, but to end in understanding with no further measures to gain that value yourself is like a lottery win. You win it, but you don't get to keep it. Discovering gold does not equate to legally owning it. You only own the gold if you have clear insight into its operations. So, how do you get to keep the gold after discovering that it exists? Number 1. Follow through with your promises to yourself. When you decide that you are going to make significant changes in whichever area of your life, stay true to your plans and actively engage your mind to see that you give yourself those changes. You could start with something as simple as making sure to read a number of pages per day, or an article in your area of interest per day, or that you want to improve your response to any given circumstances, which in this case is a change in emotional dispense. Find a way to consciously give that to yourself every day. Number 2, practice humility. It is said that pride comes before a fall, and I totally agree. Being elevated to a certain point, especially when it is a lifelong goal for you, can buff you up and cause you to forget what it took for you to get there in the first place. A great man, Dr. Miles Monroe, said that the greatest enemy of success is your last success. Therefore, understand that the learning and growth process is a continual endeavor for which you must never for a second think that you have acquired all the knowledge you will ever need. Humility is the key to personal growth because it allows you to have a teachable spirit and to learn even from those that pride would never allow you to give a listening ear. Number 3, be patient both with yourself and with others. To be patient is to have an understanding of the situations you have no control over and to still yourself as the circumstances rearrange themselves to favor you. In personal growth, you are responsible for a pretty fair part of it, like initiating the process, staying consistent and diligent until you see results. But as you grow, remember that there is no such thing as an overnight success. Remember that every good and lasting gift takes time and consistent effort. Before you quit, remember why you began in the first place and let that reason fuel your desire to become more valuable both to yourself and others. Number 4, do what you need to do when it needs to be done. Procrastination is a fancy word for lazy, I tend to think. Sometimes you might keep away what you need to do as you wait for the right time or enough resources or motivation. But all these reasons will never come unless you initiate a process that will allow them to flow and gravitate towards you. There is no such thing as the right time for an idea or a task that you have shelved for such a reason. Motivation will always come from you. It is an internal thing, not an external force. Always do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Number 5. Establish a set of guiding principles for your day-to-day. 50% of your life is an encompassment of the things you do on a daily basis without fail. If not careful, you might allow those to eat up your valuable time that you would otherwise use learning and developing new skills or brainstorming and implementing new capital ideas. The great Jim Rohn calls it majoring on the minors and minoring on the majors. You can avoid this by establishing a set of principles and timelines to allow you spend the right amount of time for every activity you need to do in a day and be maximally productive. Number 6. Nurture long-lasting and profitable habits. By the law of diminishing effect, what you focus on is amplified, while what you give little attention to diminishes and leaves no trace until it is eventually irretractable. You would want to apply this to your life. Pay attention and much focus on building habits that will favor you positively in your overall life, and actively resist and starve the habits that do not cause you to tend to the great person you could be. Remember, the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. Remember, you are only as valuable as you present yourself to be. And that is an extrapolation of how you carry yourself. The world places a value on you before you even get to speak and negotiate for it. Remember, if you do not set your value, the world will place a price on you and it won't be in your favor. Personal value is the kind of value we receive from being active instead of passive, creative instead of consumptive. Clay Shaki.